Hey guys, welcome to episode number 557. Today is Monday, so it's Update Monday, and we are back down in the fish room because we have a challenge from Steve Poland Aquatics. I was able to meet Steve for the first time at the Aquatic Experience this year. Great guy, and he has a challenge for us to tackle in this week's video. So let's watch a quick clip from Steve, and then we'll come back and we'll start the build. So come along with me and learn how to be a better aquarist.
Hi Greg, Steve here, and I have a challenge for you. I want you to figure out a way to vacuum the waste out of the bottom of all the tanks in a fish room, moving freely between tanks, and removing the water along with the waste so it doesn't cloud the tanks. It needs to be easy to start and send the water to a drain. It's a problem I was never able to solve, and I know you've tried in the past. So my challenge to you is to finally figure this out. Good luck. I know you can do it.
Alright guys, and here is the finished product, our bucket head wet dry shop vac 55-gallon barrel sump monster. This thing is a vacuum chamber, and just like a shop vac, a regular shop vac, this chamber, the 55-gallon barrel, is pressurized. Now the only way I was able to do that was to create a really nice seal all the way along the top here. Make sure that all of my holes everywhere are all hot glued and sealed as well as possible, And then to take a 2-inch cap to cap the drain hole that leads into this barrel. When all of that is done, and when the power is turned on here, what that does is it creates a vacuum chamber. The only way for air to get into this system is through our hose, and the air is being expelled out the back, just like a normal shop vac. So, with that idea in mind, this basically is a constant source of vacuum pressure, which basically emulates you sucking on the end of a hose, but all of the time. So whenever you place this system into a tank, you're able to start a siphon. It doesn't matter if you're down low, it doesn't matter if you're up high. Starts a siphon. Both water and air are able to travel through this hose into our bucket system here. Now, one really important thing to note is how we are regulating our pressure that is inside this vacuum barrel. If everything was a perfect seal, what we might actually see is this plastic, even though it's doubled up twin wall polycarbonate, would press down, and it might even crack or break under the pressure of the vacuum. So what we needed to do was install basically like a 4-inch drain here, which allows us with a stopper to regulate how much air is actually flowing through here instead of through our hose. That allows us to get the vacuum or the flow exactly correct, which allows the right amount of water and air and suction to come through this hose into this bucket head system and then into the barrel itself. I would say out of everything here, the most important part is getting a really good seal, because the only place you want air being able to enter is through our hose and through this sort of gate valve here. If it's leaking anywhere else, you're not going to get a good enough siphon in order to get this thing started. So with that all in mind, I did have to do quite a bit of hot gluing and fiddling with this to get this to seal as well as it possibly could. And then when we're all done, as you saw, I was able to just screw on a piece of drain sleeve, which just acts as a giant filter bag. It's super cheap. All of the waste accumulates inside that sleeve, and then you can just toss it out and put a new one on. Super cheap. And the only thing left in there is just dirty water. And our sump pump with the float activated switch is able to pump that water out as we are vacuuming water into this vacuum barrel. So that's the system. That's how it works. Important to note, we've got our quick connects here, so we can quickly connect all of our hoses to this system. This was a like a stainless steel by PVC part, which was able to slip in there, and that allowed us to screw that on. On the other end here, we decided to make a smaller, more elegant siphon wand out of clear 3/4 inch PVC. We've got another quick connect here, of course our Python hose, and the only other component here is a 3/4 inch PVC to garden hose adapter, and those are in sort of the garden section or your lawn section for reference. So that is the entire system. That's how it all operates. Again, if you're going to try something like this, the number one most important thing, I think, is to get as good a seal as possible. It's something that I'll probably have to play around with a little bit more to make sure that I'm always getting the best seal that I can out of this system, because the whole thing doesn't work unless you're getting a good seal. One final thing worth mentioning before building something like this is it did appear like I was getting a siphon block or an air lock in the hose itself. And this is where I'm going to need your help to try to figure this out. As I moved from tank to tank, when there was air and then water and then air in this hose, it didn't seem like that vacuum was strong enough to pull that water from the floor all the way up that hose. But by just lifting this hose and allowing that water to drain into the barrel, that problem disappeared, and I was able to go from tank to tank uninterrupted and siphon from high tanks, siphon from low tanks, and just, you know, continue down the line and get all of these clean. So, two things: really good seal, and got to figure out this siphon lock situation. Otherwise, I think this system works really well, and I'm excited to continue to play around with this and use this to rapidly clean all of my tanks. Of course, the more tanks you have, the better something like this is. It means you don't have to lug 5-gallon buckets around. It means you don't have to waste a whole bunch of water with a Venturi, and it means all you're carrying around is a wand in your hand, and all of your water is being disposed of in one location. Anyways, guys, that is the build.
Alright guys, and that's gonna do it for this week's video. I think this build was very successful. It allowed us to build something that we can use to siphon all of our tanks and go from tank to tank to tank without having to restart a siphon, without having to lug buckets around from tank to tank. A place where all of the water can be drained to and disposed of all at the same time. All you have to do is carry that vacuum wand around and move from tank to tank, and all of your tanks are clean. Now, I want to thank Steve Poland from Steve Poland Aquatics once again for offering this challenge. I think we've gotten pretty close to a solution here, but nothing is ever perfect. So again, this is where I would like your help. Any suggestions that you have based on what you've seen me build would be really appreciated to help perfect this system, and hopefully it helps other people build their own central VAC systems to siphon their entire fish rooms as well. This is something we'll be revisiting in future videos, so stay tuned for more on this project. Until then, I'm going to use what I've got to vacuum all of my tanks. And in next week's video, we are going to head outside one more time to close down the pond for the winter. It's been pretty warm out this past week, but now it's going to start to get cold, and I want to prepare those fish to go down for the winter. I also want to button up the greenhouse to make sure it is prepared for a winter as well. We want to make sure it can carry a snow load. We want to make sure all of those windows and doors are secure. We also want to make sure that the pond has an air stone. We're going to pull that pond pump, we're going to throw an air stone in, and then we're going to wait and we're going to watch. This is the first year that pond being in the ground, so it will be a learning experience, but we are going to tackle all of that in next week's video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.